In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the breakaway nut. So if you've been unfortunate enough to have sat on your bike without having first locked the fork, you'll have found out that the fork will fold forwards and that this nut here will strip its thread and it'll break off. That's intentional and it was designed that way. Of course, we remind everybody to make sure that your bike is locked before sitting on it. So we've actually added a new feature now. As an extra reminder, we've replaced one of the O-rings on actually both the fork knob and the steer knob. So the top O-ring is red now. So if you see that O-ring, that means your bike is not locked. And of course, when you go to lock it, you have to screw in the fork, and that O-ring needs to completely disappear. And that's when you know your bike is locked. Of course, you got to listen to 3 clicks. Right. So first thing we're going to do is remove the front brake cable. So that's easily done. Just turn the adjustment screws so that the openings are lined up and you can just pull the brake cable out. Then unlock the bike and the fork just comes off nice and easy. So once you've broken your breakaway nut, what also is happening is that the set screw is also bending, so you'll have to replace that as well. So what you can do is you'll remove the front Helix holder and then you'll have it in your hand. One with a broken set screw and breakaway nut will look like this, and a properly functioning one will have the screw straight. So if your screw is bent, which it most likely will be, you'll have to remove the screw first. So you might want to try doing it with a hex driver, but it'll actually be a lot easier with a set of pliers. So just go ahead and start clamp the screw and then just start unscrewing it, and then you'll get it off. Once it's off, get the new screw and insert it, and then you can just start the thread off, and you don't have to screw it in too far, just get it maybe 5 or 6 complete full turns. Then we'll put it back onto the fork. So you've got 1 of 3 chances of getting this right the first time. I've done this here a fair bit of times, so I know how to get it right this time. So okay, and then you're almost done actually. So then position the fork back to the fork crown, and then once you've positioned it, make sure that the fork crown and the top of the fork here are fully concentric, so that and then push down on the knob and lock your bike. You want to be very sure that the front Helix holder is seated inside the fork crown. There's actually a pocket inside there so that the front Helix holder is positioned correctly. So make sure that you're not overlapped or anything like that or out of alignment. You likely won't be, because you won't be able to get the lock locked, but there's still a possibility that you can get that wrong. So make sure you're seated well, and you'll know that you're seated well as well, because the fork crown and the top of the fork are parallel to each other, and you won't see any angular gaps or anything like that. So go ahead and lock it. So 3 clicks, and then get the elastomer, and then there's a spacer, and then there's this washer. So position them, place them onto the set screw there, and then actually in this case I screwed the set screw in too far. So make sure the set screw is up the height of the nut. And then once you're there, you can go ahead and screw the nut on. If you have a ratchet wrench, that's great, but you can use just conventional wrench, and then just tighten it up. I'm using the hex driver to prevent the set screw from turning as I'm tightening the aluminum nut. And you'll tighten that aluminum nut until the whole system is compressed. You'll notice that there is a spacer in there. That spacer prevents the elastomer from over compressing. The correct torque spec will be posted in the description. Once that's complete, reattach your front brake. And then also, as you're reattaching the front brake, check down below, because sometimes that will become unseated, and you'll find that it's a bit difficult to get this on. And then set your adjusters, and then you're done.